Welcome to the Net Front Presence. I'm Jeff Gordon, the Post-Dispatch, joined by our beat reporter, Matthew DeFranks. And hey, guess what? It's playoff hockey time, or almost, for the Blues. They're not in yet, not in the bracket, but boy, the two games they played on the road to start this three-game trip sure looked a lot like playoff hockey. So uh, your takeaway, first, the Jets just threw a blanket on the Blues. And this is what the Jets do. They were in top form. And then the Oilers were a team that's trying to, clinch its playoff berth, really beat up. But Connor McDavid comes back and does Connor McDavid things. So, Blues, this is what the playoffs are going to look like. These are the sorts of games.
Yeah, and this was kind of a little bit of a stretch that we anticipated from the schedule, right? When you looked at what the schedule was like during the 12-game win streak, there were some tough games in there, but they weren't consecutive. They weren't all, kind of back to back to back. You had Vancouver, which was fighting for a playoff spot. You had Montreal in a playoff spot. You had Colorado a couple times, but you had a lot of teams that weren't going to be contending, right? And now you looked at it and you said, okay, well, you had Colorado on Saturday at home, beat them, held on to beat them. Winnipeg on the road, one of the best teams in the league, lost to them. Edmonton getting McDavid back, lost to them. Probably should have gotten at least a point out of that game last night with another late goal that they gave up. But this is the schedule of these three games, tightening up a little bit, and the teams that these are the types of teams, as you mentioned, that the Blues would be seen in the playoffs. That caliber of team that is going to happen in about a week from now. So it's not super encouraging, but there were signs of kind of this coming back to earth towards the end of the win streak. And now that I look at the 12-game win streak, that first 7 games, they were just blowing teams out, right? They were outscoring teams 34-10. They're winning each game by at least 3 goals, pretty much. And in the last 5 games of that win streak, it was just a bunch of 1-goal wins, which doesn't seem to hold up over a long stretch of time, right? So you saw some cracks in it, and you saw them, I think, heading into last night's game, they had 4 of their previous 5 games had fewer than 40 shot attempts at 5-on-5. Like that's just not enough volume offensively at 5-on-5 to make meaningful action, I guess. So
You
there,
don't start, yeah, you start looking at what could happen. Now, I do think the Blues will make the playoffs.
yeah.
The Flames are hanging in there. They picked up a point where they really needed 2 points again on Wednesday night. But their road, they just have to win out and hope that the Blues quit winning, basically. So still, the door's open and they're playing hard. Good on them. But here Minnesota. Oh, by the way, Kirill Kaprizov back, Joel Eriksson Ek back. They go in a wild game. They managed to get 2 points, but they got their guys playing again, got their skates going, got goals flying in. So that team, all of a sudden looks like that first wild card spot could go to Minnesota after their long battle against injuries. So what does that leave you with? The Jets? And what did we see when they played the Jets? Pretty tough assignment.
Yeah, it's I still think that there is obviously a couple games left where they could pass Minnesota again, but this is where regulation wins comes into hand. It's all the games that they've given up goals in the last minute of the game. Like last night, they should have got a point. They were going into overtime, doing up that goal in the last minute. A few games prior, they gave up a goal. I think it was against Pittsburgh, right? Pittsburgh, they gave up a goal that, they won the game in overtime, but they should have won it in regulation. That game against Vancouver, they won it in overtime, should have won it in regulation. And suddenly you have 31 regulation wins compared to Minnesota's 33, and that's the first tiebreaker. So you have to outright pass them, and it's possible, but as you mentioned, getting Joel Eriksson back, he had 4 goals last night. Kirill Kaprizov comes back, he scores the game winner. He has 3 points last night. Like those are big moves for them to get those guys back. And yeah, so right now that's what it's looking like. Is that the current position that they have is lining up against Winnipeg in the first round. And they have played decently, I would say, against Winnipeg throughout the year. They had that one game in early December where the second period was one of their best of the season. I think shots were something like 19-2. That was early in Montgomery's tenure, and they were still had that new coach bump, so to speak. And obviously, we've seen it turn into just good coaching throughout the last few months. But that was a good game they had. I think that first game back from the break at home against Winnipeg, they lose in a shootout, and that's one that the Blues felt like they should have got 2 points out of. And obviously what happened on Monday where they couldn't really get much going offensively. So they have played Winnipeg okay, I think, throughout the season. But you're right, when you have a team that defends like that in front of a goalie that plays like that, it's a tough assignment.